So let's continue. We are now talking about what you asked. What that guy asked now, backup and that disaster recovery. You asked a question, please listen. Backup and data recovery strategies. Backup and data recovery strategies. In backup and data recovery, if you see my slide, there is a software called EastUS Data Recovery Software. You can download it and please, as we say these things, when you go back home, try to download them. When you back up a data, it is being saved in maybe a USB flash drive. When you are recovering the data, any software you are using will always ask you, choose where you want to recover that data. So, please, two concepts you must know. We may ask you to discuss. Remember, 300 level is not CBT. Hope you know that. Oh, you have not been told. You've been told. And I'm very happy about that. Yes. Because that's when we'll know, we'll separate this from this. 300 level is not my policy. Please, let's go on. You know, it's recorded. So, we may ask you to discuss backup, data backup versus data replication discuss. Replication simply means synchronization of information across multiple systems. Replication enhances data resiliency, provide redundancy, and support data recovery. Backup saves copy of data. Those are two. You were asking about Google and how they operate. See it on the screen there. This is Microsoft Azure, and this is what they call cloud. Cloud-based site recovery includes using cloud infrastructure as hot sites for recovering data, for recovering from data center failures. Let's use Azure site as an example. This is their site. Remember, I told us all those cloud are systems. Region 1, South Africa. Region 2, Antarctica. If you notice, this is an exact replica of this, true or false. This is the internet. The internet is simply acting as a connectivity between the two, maybe through fiber optic cables or whatever. So whatever is here is being replicated amongst this other side. It goes on concurrently, on and on. So that if this site goes down, traffic quickly fails over to that other side. That is why they will give you an uptime of 99.95 availability. That 0.05 is for that period where it is switching between two sides. They can never give you 100%. Cloud backup facilitates unlimited data transfer. It facilitates centralized monitoring and management. Use cases. We see in on-premise data backup, cloud backup uploads on-premise backup to secure locations so that you can scale up. Like Microsoft Azure now, you can see a diagram there. They have the recovery points, storage management, resiliency availability, multi-user authentication, very important. How many people can have access to this system? The authentication level must be very, very unique because that is the target of any form of terrorist attack. So if you are using Microsoft Azure, for instance, maybe in this class, all your information is here. Now I've told us my information is being backed up. That means it's being backed up from on-premise to cloud. The danger is this. My on-premise, I can control who can access my system. On cloud, can I control it? I must have resilient policies in place to control how people get those data. Data loss prevention is very important. What is it? Data loss prevention is a set of software products and tools that do not allow users to send confidential corporate data outside the organizations. Data loss prevention policies are used to discover sources of leaks, monitor the sources of leaks, protect our access, prevent accidental disclosures. For instance, a data loss policy prevention can mean that an organization's social media account is only accessed from one mobile device, meaning that in a company, our social media department, I don't give the password to the company's social media accounts to all the staff of social media departments. I simply log in the password to a laptop and a particular phone. So if you must post on our social media pages, you must use this phone. So if tomorrow I come in here, practical case scenario, we do it in my own organization. Now, we notice a post somewhere where someone commented on Obi Kubana asking for money. It was easy to trace. That is why I say monitor the sources of leak. How do we trace it? First of all, who has access to the phone? 3 people. Who has access to the account? Only 1 phone. When was that post made? Maybe 9 o'clock a.m. Who is licensed to hold the phone by that time? 1 person. That means that person actually made that post. Data loss prevention policy. So policies are very, very important to guard against data loss prevention, prevent accidental disclosure of sensitive information, and to manage resources. Types of data loss prevention policies. Endpoint solution. Please, in IT and network security, whenever you hear the word endpoint, I explained it last semester. I explained, remember host devices. What did I say? Host devices. The bottom line devices that are used to access a network. So another name for host devices are also called the endpoint. Endpoint means what is the last line of data that accesses a device. Why you should know that? You will go online. Someone should not confuse you and say, this is an endpoint antivirus. When you go and you want to go and buy antivirus, they'll tell you this antivirus is endpoint antivirus. You'll be wondering. You say, no, I want Kaspersky. They'll say, this is Kaspersky endpoint. You go and say, no, I want Kaspersky internet security. You'll be disgracing yourself. So when you hear the word endpoint antivirus, it means that it is the antivirus protection for the device that it is meant to be. When you probably hear enterprise grade maybe security, it means maybe for an entire organization is meant to be installed on maybe a server, and that server now controls all the endpoints. So endpoint means the last line of devices. That is why I put in tablets and laptops. It is used to prevent data leakage through removable disks and all of that. Network data protection solution means providing a security on the router. We have passed on the level. Remember, I told us to not be going back. A router controls the network. So putting a security on the router, like on a router now, we learned of DNS last semester. If I don't want students in this class to download movies, every student I don't want to download movie, I don't have to come and start telling you, please, nobody should visit torrents. I'll go to my router and say, anybody visiting .tor or whatever file, drop that connection. If I say anybody should visit Facebook, I'll just go to the router and say, anybody visiting Facebook IP address, I'll type the IP. Remember, I've told us websites are IP. I'll type the IP address on Facebook on the layer 7, the network security part of the router, and say, anybody visiting this IP from 9 to 4, drop that connection. Like now, SPH is complaining that the network is usually slow. They say that our students have the password. I never knew when I gave password, but I learned, Concept told me they have the password. I was wondering how. Now they suddenly changed password. That is when I knew people had the password, because they started asking me what is password. I said I don't know it. So network level security means implementing a security policy at network level. Storage data loss prevention means implementing a solution that monitors and protects data at rest in an organization. Several providers have several policies for data loss prevention. This is an example of endpoint solution that you can use. This is a platform that you can use to monitor and inspect a lot of data going out. There are a lot of them. Cinematic is an antivirus company that produces Norton antivirus. McAfee produces McAfee antivirus. Checkpoint produces their own, and all of them have their various levels of endpoint security. Best practices for implementing data loss. Please, DLP means data loss prevention. I may not be mentioning data loss. I'll just say in your exam, you can suddenly say, discuss DLP. You become confused. What is DLP? DLP means data loss prevention. So, best practices: identify your major objective of data loss prevention, identify the sensitive areas for the protection, evaluate available vendors and what they offer versus what you want to protect, ensure that the product is compatible with the data types and needs of your organization, and so on and so forth. How do you protect data, sensitive data? Always label. You have to categorize. What do you understand by sensitive data? Maybe in this class, sensitive data refers to math number. Maybe in ICTC, sensitive data may refer to people's login password. In a bank, sensitive data refers to ATM card numbers. So all those, when you define your sensitive data, it will help you to know the type of encryption that you would apply to those data. It will help you to apply technologies for those sensitive data, and it will help you to create the policy. Big data have several challenges because several things apply in big data. Data streaming, please, let's break this down. When you talk about data streaming, simple example is YouTube and Netflix. Watching real life movies. That data is being transported to you. This came from stream, water, stream. Stream means water is moving. So that is where they got this name, data stream. So if we ask an example of data stream, YouTube movies, Netflix movie, anything that has to do with real time, Zoom, Microsoft Meet, Google Meet, that is real time data streaming. It is different from watching a movie on your phone. Or it could still be called data stream because it's being streamed from a folder on your phone to the application on your phone. Data streaming involves lots and lots of things, and data have to be distributed. Complex access, multiple users and systems accessing a movie. Netflix upload could be accessed by 1 million people. How do you think they can achieve that? That means that movie will not just reside in a single server. It has to be scattered across several servers across the world. So that if you are watching a trending movie now, me watching it should not obstruct someone else watching that same movie. That means the data is being replicated in an hot zone system. As it's being uploaded, it has duplicated itself across several other servers. So big data have a very different security challenge. These are the 6 V's with their own security challenges. Volume challenge, velocity challenge. Velocity has to do with the speed of data. Variety, types of data, video, picture, text have different encryption formats. Veracity, how do you validate the authenticity of the data? The value, how valuable is this data, also determine the kind of security you will give those data. Variability, the types of data determine the kind of threats you are going to apply. These are different tools you can use to secure data based on the approach: traditional data, small data, big data. Security control, like for access control now, big data, you have millions of people using it. Millions of people, you now have to use a very good access control system for that purpose. Let's see an example of data security breaches. In 2019, we have what is called Capital One breach. Remember, we taught us that these names were gotten from the incidents that occur. When we talk about Equifax breach. Remember Equifax of last time? Equifax is the name of a data center. So since the data center was breached, the name of that attack was suddenly called Equifax breach. Capital One breach. Amazon misconfigured a firewall. Maybe the firewall was meant to protect people from accessing customers' data, but an IT person writing a command wrongly made 100 million customers' records to be exposed. When we learned of Equifax last time, a vulnerability means that 147 millions of records were exposed. In Nigeria today, we have instances whereby all these OPay, PalmPay, all these pay apps, data are being shared and compromised. Customer telecom companies, the time Globalcom was hacked, when they were hacked, millions of phone numbers were stolen. That is why a lot of us will just stay and receive unsolicited messages, because all our numbers now are in the open market available for. There's a time I bought River State number. How was it harvested? Through data breaches. People now use it for several purposes, elections and all of that. How do you secure big data? We have infrastructural security, data security. I've talked about that. Application security, access management. The CIA tried. There must be a method of authenticating every connection, a method of authorizing people that want to access. Then very, very important. Please, when dealing with data, auditing is very key. I showed us my screen. On my screen, what did you see? You saw when someone logged in and when they log out to the access control. Auditing is the only thing that helps you to track how data moves from one place to another. Now, those of you that purchase EC Council Cloud Security, I will tell you the module you have to go and study to get more details and videos to understand what you have just done. So from the EC Council, data, when it comes in, you could classify it as public, internal, confidential, and secret. Classifying the data into these four helps you to know the kind of storage you are going to use for these types of data. We have successfully discussed data security and its importance. We have discussed several challenges associated with the data. We have discussed controls for encryption, various disencryption. We have discussed DLP. Next time, we'll be discussing network traffic monitoring. So this is what we'll be doing in this course. Like this module, we have finished week 1. Today, we have finished what we have to do with 100 slides. Week 2, we'll come back and look at it. Week 3, this is already on your scheme of work, which I gave to us. This is exactly what we'll be doing when we are talking about data security. Please, I'll prefer we try to read. Please, let's read so that the class would be interactive. So before we ask questions, let's discuss. Number 1, given Nigerians' infrastructural challenges, how do you think organizations can implement big data security effectively? Let's hear your views. Given Nigerians' infrastructural challenges, how do you think organizations can implement big data security effectively? Please, let's hear your views.